Yeah, I'll react to that. Sure. Is America you like is are most European countries like akin to the United Kingdom where cops don't have like, are there any countries in Europe where cops do carry guns? Like every cop pretty much carries a gun, like in the U.S. or is the U.S. really that alone there? Let's learn. Andrew Austin, awesome. Preemptive like Swedish police versus American police. What can America learn? Original link to his video, top of the description. Love for you to join the Discord if you'd like to. Let's go.
Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. I'm excited for this next one. I'm going to be talking about the differences between Swedish police and American police.
I didn't go to Brown, by the way. I'm not that smart.
I'm going to be talking. Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. I'm excited for this next one. I'm going to be talking about the differences between Swedish police and American police. Before I even begin, I think being a police officer has to be one of the most difficult jobs because they have to deal with people being disrespectful to them. Maybe most people aren't happy to see them, and you got to be brave on top of all that. So for all the brave men and women out there that do serve, whether you're in the United States or Sweden, I do want to thank you. Starting off, I'm going to have to talk about some things and be critical of some things, but I just want to point out overall, I think that most police do a fantastic job. All that out of the way, though, let's go into it. We're going to first start with the differences. So the main differences I see starting out is that in America, you have so many different types of police forces, and in Sweden, you just have the Swedish police. Now, I'm sure there's different police stations. You could work at different Swedish places, but it's not like there's a Linköping City or Stockholm City police like on the vehicle.
Metro.
No, everything is kind of together. There's a chief in different cities and stuff like that, but it seems to be a lot more like centralized, I guess, and controlled, and everybody's doing things, I believe, mostly the same way. Whereas like in the United States system, just to give example, I'd have a cop in my town where I'm from, Canonsburg. We had city cops. Pittsburgh, you had state cops, which were the Pennsylvania state cops. So you have all these cops that are getting tax money from different types of places that have many different people making decisions on what their kind of things they're going to buy and things like that, what kind of weapons or equipment they're going to have. And then on top of that, in the United States, you also have like federal police. So you got the FBI and you have like the DEA. So you have cops that have jurisdiction within the whole United States. So it's a lot more kind of, I guess, complicated of a system as far as policemen and who's in charge and things like that.
So, I mean, excuse me. I'm not sure if the term is precinct or whatnot, but just for the sake of organization, there must be some sort of designation of like, you know, if you're a cop in what is it, Malmo? Malmo. You're not going to be going to work every day in Stockholm, or like obviously you're going to have your own areas, right? And yeah, when it comes to the cops here, there are individual town police, and then there are state troopers who kind of patrol highways usually. Like if you get pulled over on the highway in the US and you get a speeding ticket, a state trooper is likely going to be giving you that ticket. And then obviously, yeah, there's the FBI and yeah, SWAT teams and stuff.
Than it is in Sweden. It seems to be a lot more just put together in that sense. Another fundamental difference I noticed, and I've been in Sweden for 6 years, so it could change in the United States, but there's a lot more female police officers in Sweden. It's a lot more mixed, which I think is a positive thing. And that means that every police officer in Sweden is huge. At least I think so. Like they all look like everybody I've ever met that's like a Swedish police officer. It looks like somebody you don't want to mess with. Really? It seems to be very prestigious to become a police officer. It's very, very difficult to do. They have to be in great shape and things like that. And on top of that, it's very, very well respected.
I'd say most, like I definitely remember, going to school in New York, NYPD, or even in my home, like I grew up in Barrington in Rhode Island. There were definitely the cops looked like people you didn't want to mess with. I think that's usually the norm.
I think it's the same in like the United States in a sense, but I've seen a lot of cops that are kind of out of shape, but there isn't as much female police officers that I've seen in the United States. I think it's getting better, but not as much. I think that it's hard to be a police officer in the United States, and I think it's grueling. Unfortunately, I don't think that the police in the United States have as good of a reputation as Swedish police officers overall. And that's another difference that we have. That being said, I think one fundamental reason why is because I believe that Swedish police officers do a much better job at de-escalating a situation and not bringing it to a dangerous level.
Right to the gun. Swedish police on vacation. Swedish police on vacation in New York stopping a crime. Oh, that's... wow.
I got a problem on! Take it easy! I got a problem on, son! Yeah, you have to calm down. Calm down.
As you can see, the Swedish police are in the United States and they have no problems taking a non-lethal means to safely subdue somebody.
I mean, obviously they were not on. They're in America. They're Swedish cops. Obviously, they weren't called to the scene. They're intervening what they saw in front of them. It has to be the case. They're not in uniform or anything. Maybe it was but if that was an American cop with all of his gear and everything on, I mean that person might have gotten. You definitely like. I don't want to say you probably have the taser out and being like you're gonna get tased or something like that.
And not escalate it any further, staying calm, not reacting. And I think sometimes in the American system, cops aren't as well trained.
Get your hands up now!
Veteran officers Ken LaRude and Gordy Bush are responding to a burglary.
I just want to go. I just want to leave.
It's all part of a de-escalation drill designed to help cops figure out an alternative to deadly force.
Why didn't you tase him?
He's not trying to harm anybody. He's just trying to get away.
Perfect. We use appropriate level of force.
Not all cops, but again, it could go back to the whole not being central thing. But American police don't always do the best job of de-escalating a situation. I've seen many types of situations where someone's clearly mentally not well or arguing with the cop, and you think back and say, it's easy to be an armchair quarterback, by the way. It's very easy for me to sit here,
right.
And I understand that because my life's not on the line. I think that's important to say.
I like this guy a lot. Very smart and says all the right things.
By the way, it's very easy for me to sit here, and I understand that because my life's not on the line. I think that's important to say. But you can kind of look at some issues and say, wow, they didn't need to take it to that level. They could have maybe backed off a little bit. So that's another fundamental difference that I've seen.
I think that, and this is just me, just like he said, it's hard for me to, but I can recall one instance where I was driving back from college. I was driving towards Providence, from New York to Providence. I was towards Providence. And I was really low on gas. And so I do remember kind of quickly, not dangerously, but like pretty swiftly getting to an exit that was right there so I can go to a gas station. And I didn't even realize it, but apparently there was a state trooper right behind me. And I didn't even see him behind me until I had already taken the exit and was going down towards the gas station. And so I'm just thinking he just pulled me over just then. But he immediately just like got out, just went over, and like it wasn't like license or registration or anything. And guys, I've had a lot of good experiences with cops. This is just the only one I can remember that was kind of strange. And he was just like, get out of the car. And I was just like, wait, what? Like I thought like, I don't know, there's just some random guy, and I'm thinking, okay, get my stuff. He's just like, get out of the car. And I go to the back, like put my hands on the back of the car. He passed me down, and I'm like, no, like because he saw me go really fast, and he assumed I was like running from him or something. And I'm like, no, look at my gas gauge, my gas, the meter in my car. I was really low on gas, and I got to get there. And he's like, all right. And I just think there's much more of a surprise aggression when it comes to policing in America, where it's like it's force and swift force. It's like, give me this right now, stop, and if you do any resistance, it's going to go wham, bam, and then something might bad happen. And so I don't think there's much give, like if a cop's talking to you, it's usually like kind of like shut up and let him talk, and that might seem unfair, but it kind of is. And yeah, it's different over here, I guess.
This is a huge fundamental difference. Like, I got pulled over once in the States because
He's
I was
giving me a
going too
story.
fast. And it was totally by accident. It's like, and I was going maybe 10 miles over this, 15 miles over the speed limit or something like that. I guess 20, 22 kilometers, something around there. And when the cop pulled me over, I went, oh. I pulled off the road, and like I did everything right, had my insurance and everything, was very respectful to the cop, and I was like, oh, I made a mistake, I'm really sorry. It was the truth. And the cop gave me a warning. He didn't give me a ticket where I had to pay money, which was awesome because I was a broke college student at the time. And that's the difference in Sweden. Like they like will do the checks. They do these checks for speed checks once a year. They don't even pull you over. Like, one person's got like the gun, they like flag you off, and they just give you a ticket. There's no talking to, as far as I know, there's no talking to like a police officer and they're gonna like just give you a warning and stuff like that. It's very black and white here in Sweden. You broke the law, boom, here's your ticket, or here's your consequence.
Yeah, with like I was really dumb one time. Just I don't know why I did it. I was driving. I was with my friend. I was in high school. I think I was like a senior in high school, and I just like I flicked off a cop that was. I don't know why I did it. I was an idiot. And then I remember the cop turned around in the rearview mirror and then pulled me over. He was like, what are you doing? I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. And then he went back. But I was thinking to myself, yeah, I'm stupid. I shouldn't have just flicked off a random person, cop or not, police officer or not. But I was like, can he do that just because I flicked him off there? And I just hope like, but with the first story I said, I'm talking way too much. Where the cop pulled me over, the story I told, the low gas, and he told me to get out. It was right when I said, like, hey, my low gas is right there. I didn't even know you were behind me. Then it was just, okay, fine, and left. And I'm thinking to myself, what did he want to pull me over for? So he just pulled me over because I suspiciously switched lanes to an exit. And then he's like, oh, and it was strange the more I think about it.
Where in the American system, it seems like you can kind of talk to police officers. That can go good or bad, as we've seen in videos, but like cops can also very nicely give you a warning or give you a ticket, especially if they don't think that you can afford the ticket or things like that, if you're polite. So a lot of times interactions police,
exactly,
if it's positive both ways in the United States, it can find a solution. Unfortunately, as we've seen in a lot of videos, if people are negative to each other, it can go another way. I also think that
he explained that perfectly. I think there is much more of like instead of like you broke it or didn't, how you interact with the cop when he shows up to your window can really go in different directions.
Swedish police do a better job of non-lethal means. In the United States, we use the taser a lot. I don't see the taser used so much in Sweden. But in the United States, I mean, sometimes I think the taser can be overly used when there's other means of non-lethal takedowns as well that are used. So it fundamentally comes down to this, guys, and I don't think people like hearing this. I think part of the reason that we're not so good with non-lethal takedowns and the cops aren't trained that way is in the United States, everybody can potentially have a gun. And just the way our society is built by having guns, the elephant in the room is every time a policeman is interacting with someone during a pullover, that person could have a gun ready to shoot them. And you don't have that same kind of danger if you're a policeman in Sweden. It exists, yeah. People have guns and stuff, but it's much more rare. And I don't think we can deny the fact that cops are going to feel that way when they're interacting with people, just simply because there's more guns. It's a real possibility that we have to accept. So that's one thing I got to say.
I'm very open-minded in thinking, but if anyone tries to suggest like, oh, American cops shouldn't be able to carry a firearm, I just think that you're not understanding the situation over here. I'm not saying that it's a good thing there are so many guns, but it's just not feasible. There's no way that you're going to get a police force in this country to not carry a gun. I don't see that happening.
Policemen do make mistakes in the United States, and we can sit back and judge it, but we have to remember that someone's reaching in their bag. I've seen it. And if someone's reaching in their bag for their wallet, then they get shot. It's horrible. It should not happen. But I think it's a consequence of us allowing people to have firearms, especially concealed weapons. Another thing I want to mention is my experience, because I think this is important as well. So, and when I was in college, I went to Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I'm driving a car, having a good old time, and I got pulled over the week before for like a taillight on my car. I just had an old car, so I didn't realize it was out, so it wasn't like a ticket. I just got a warning that my light was out. I had no idea. So I got pulled over again by this cop, and everybody in the town knew who this cop was. I'm not going to say his name, but he pulled me over. I was not breaking the law. I actually found out later that he pulled me over illegally. The reason he said he pulled me over was a lie. And he pulled me over, got me out of the vehicle. That was kind of scary, because once I was out of the car, I'm like, why am I out of the car? He was very rude and mean to me, lied about why he pulled me over, wanted to search my vehicle, and when I refused to let him search my vehicle, because in the United States, you don't have to allow people to search your car. You can just say, and that's the thing, I didn't trust this guy. I don't want this guy in my car or doing anything. I heard so many stories about this guy. But anyways, when I refused to do that, he lied and said he smelled alcohol in my breath, which was not true, and then he breathalyzed me, and of course I passed the breathalyzer test. Another police officer came up, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm a college kid. I was on my way to learn how to play the saxophone because I'm studying to be a music teacher.
Before I forget, guys, oh no, did I already forget? Oh my God.
Alcohol in my breath, but anyways.
Oh yes, before I forget. Okay, the saxophone part is where I left off. That's a big problem that I'm sure is a problem that is everywhere, in police departments everywhere, but definitely in the U.S., where there's this game that you have to like play through your head. Like one time I got pulled, this was me. I remember I was going a bit fast and I saw a cop like turn around who went by me and then started to turn around, and I sped up a bit. And I'm like, oh God, like I didn't whatever. And then I ended up like speeding up. This is in the town I grew up in, Barrington. And I pulled like a quick turn and then another turn in a parking lot, and then they still showed up and caught me. And despite me clearly going over the speed limit and then trying to evade them, essentially, at the end of the day, when they pulled me over, they called me out. They're like, you weren't. I was trying to say like, oh, I didn't. And they're just like, come on, like, you know what you're talking about. And there's just this game that you have to play where you know that being more truthful to the cops will make them be less, nail you for anything. They're going to be less, by the book and nail you as much as you can. It's just that there are so many little things, for instance, where I flicked off, the middle finger to the officer, which was done by me, just out my window. When he pulled me over, one part of me is thinking, okay, how can a cop pull me over by making a gesture with my hand to him? It's not like I was like, it was just me it wasn't out the window. It was just like in my windshield. And I'm not defending that. It was stupid. But when he pulled me over, my immediately thought was, go little puppy dog, submissive kind of, I'm sorry. That was so stupid. I don't know why I did that. I'm really sorry. Because the part of me that wants to say, why you really just pulled me over because I had a middle finger at you. And the reason I didn't say that is because I know that there are all these weird little laws that if I take this guy off a little and maybe like I had a taillight out or like maybe it's something, then they're going to try and book you for something. And you just don't want to go through with that. And so there's this relationship between cop and citizen over here where it's kind of like, okay, what are we going to do here? All right. Obviously with certain violations, you're not getting out of it. You're getting arrested. But there's just this weird relationship where you gotta act nice and then know your rights, but also be a little bit compliant, and they'll treat you with more kid gloves. It's weird. And again, like he says, I'm not saying anything against it's an extremely difficult job, but I mean, there are bad people in the police profession, just like there are bad people in every profession. And it's just that being a cop, you are really able to mess with people if you are a bad person.
When I refused to do that, he lied and said he smelled alcohol in my breath, which was not true, and then he breathalyzed me, and of course I passed the breathalyzer test. Another police officer came up, and I'm looking at this guy, and I'm a college kid. I was on my way to learn how to play the saxophone because I'm studying to be a music teacher at university, and I'm looking at this guy who's maybe 24, 25 at the time, trying to ruin my life simply because I knew the law, simply because I knew my rights as a citizen. I was just like, no, you can't do that. No, am I free to leave? Like, I wasn't being rude or mean. I was just simply like knowing my rights in the Constitution and like doing everything by the book and not letting him bully me just because that's what he was. He was a bully. I was, you know, standing up for myself but not being me. And I'm watching this guy try to ruin your life and realizing that he had done it. How many people had he already done this to? And I heard stories about this guy. Well, luckily, the cop did get busted later on, a couple years later, for doing a lot of illegal stuff and some shady stuff. So, you know, karma wins in the end. But for a long time, about a year or two, until I had that other interaction where I told you the cop gave me he gave me the no ticket. It was a really nice interaction. I had an irrational like fear of the police because it was such a traumatic experience that like I had some trouble with like panic attacks a couple weeks later, like when I would see a cop and I was so afraid to interact with the cop. This guy gave me such a negative view of the police, and I think we have to. That's why I think the problem is when a police officer does something wrong. The problem has been in the United States that, and before, like, we protect this person because we protect the police. But you shouldn't do that because we need to get people like that out of the police force, and because then it brings the trust back. So unfortunately, I had that bad incident, but like I overall think police are fantastic, and I have great interactions with the police, and I say hi to the police when I see them. But those few bad apples that we have in the United States, because think about it, like, you know, I'm supposed to be, you know, privileged or whatever. I'm supposed to be, you know, I'm a 32-year-old white male in the United States. So, you know, and I had that reaction in college. So, you know, what do other people go through? It makes me think about it. So, and if I was a police officer and I'm a great police officer, I would be mad at these people that do that, that make it a bad name for everyone else. So,
I'd be, yeah.
I'm like exhausted now, but I hope you guys enjoyed
this. Yeah, this is one of those subjects that just, it gets you. It's obviously a very polarizing subject. And it's just something that everyone has something to say about, and it's important to keep a cool head.
Police officer, I would be mad at these people that do that, that make it a bad name for everyone else. So I'm like exhausted now, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, I would love to have you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey do.
Awesome. This guy's channel is great. So yeah, like he said many times, I agree honestly with everything he said. And it's funny how he had some, you know, similar experiences and to do with college like I did, but it is an incredibly difficult profession, and you need to put yourself in the shoes of these people. Like, go on and watch some videos about cops' interaction with people on YouTube. Go ahead and imagine doing that every day and dealing with people who you know can be crazy, and especially in America where there are guns. You can very easily lose your life, especially in certain areas. But at the same time, there are bad people in every profession. I don't think there are necessarily a larger proportion of bad people. I don't think that cops are more especially bad than any other profession. Okay? But that doesn't mean there aren't bad apples in it. Definitely are. And it's a profession where you are given a lot of power without really. It's a lot of power without a ton of supervision, like something like the military or something. You're not in the military where you know, you're out and you're patrolling the streets, and it's just, if you get a bad apple, it's the perfect job to be able to be a bully and do that stuff. And yeah, I love to see your comments and stuff. I feel like I had a lot of stuff that I held back on in the video because I thought I already talked too much. But really cool video. I love talking about this stuff. Fascinating. This guy's channel is great. See you guys next time. Hope I didn't talk too much. See ya.